Hey guys, how's it going? This is Patrick and you are trading with Prime. We're going to fly through a few stocks here, so bear with me. And if you are getting value out of these videos, be sure and hit the like button. We are going to be going live here in approximately an hour and 20 minutes. It's our Sunday. Sundays we do a 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do a live session for people to ask questions. Also, bear with my mic here. I just got a new mic, so hopefully this can clean up the sound just a little bit for you guys, but we'll see how it goes. So this episode on the weekly stock picks from the Discord server, in fact, I'm going to go to it really quick here just so you guys can kind of get a glance at this. Join soon because pretty soon it will be premium, but for now you can join for free and you can get great alerts from several different people. Just going into the server really quick, I'm not going to go through all of the items on the server, but just looking on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see different things from the verification all the way to the invite link. And then below that, you'll see trading with Prime chat, which is what I'm in right now. And then below that, you get into the premium channels. We have a chart and gap for charting, but under the option alert, spread alert, and stock alert, you should just see ticker symbols with the actual alerts. And then we can get down into the news, earnings calendars, those sorts of things. We also have challenges at the bottom here. And then we get into the Prime Video Archive, Bullfam Facebook, and Bullfam Twitter coming soon. All, of course, coming soon. We'll be doing those as soon as we can. So getting into the charts here, we've had several members list out stocks. I'm going to do a couple for myself, and then we'll get into members, stocks that members wanted us to take a look at. VIR. I wanted to look at several different ones, but I noticed on just looking at this overall chart, we are in an uptrend. So I'm taking a look at that, and I did notice the last day on Friday, we had a reversal candle on heavier than normal volume, not the heaviest volume, but it was a doji candle. And so what I'm looking at is this price area right here. It is holding support. Unfortunately, this almost looks like a bearish kind of pattern on the last week and a half. However, once we zoom out and look at the daily chart, it does look like it's coming back into some support. And so I'm looking at a continuation here. It's above all three moving averages. So I'm going to keep this on the watch list, VIR. The next thing I want to look at is GLD. Again, another one that I wanted to look at primarily because of how far we are out here. If I go to the daily chart, it's pretty much hitting a lot of the price targets. Actually, it's above most of the price targets that I had. However, we are coming into some resistance here. It'd be nice to look at the futures chart. So if you get a chance to check that out. But we are at resistance right now. I'm waiting for a little bit of time to either pass, whether that is in a minus 3% to minus 5% pullback. That's always possible. But what I'm really looking at here is maybe even a time consolidation. If this is going to be a range, maybe we'd see something like this before it broke out. I'm expecting higher prices in GLD. It's just a matter of when that will be, and how much time needs to pass before that actually happens. The next one we'll look at is UUP. I've been ranting and raving about UUP. I actually posted this on several groups the other day, primarily because I saw some support levels down here. And for those of you who don't know what UUP is, it is the dollar index. So what I'm looking at is if we do get a bounce here, which is really interesting that we saw a rally on the last few days. I'm going to zoom in a lot here. You guys really put it up on your screen for you. What I'm looking at is a bounce coming in on. We had some support down here on Thursday, and then we had some bounce follow through, and the day actually closed above Thursday's candle. So I'm looking for a continuation in the dollar. The question that comes to mind is, and the reason why I picked GLD and UUP is if the dollar begins to rally and we see some rallying in the dollar, usually that would mean lower prices in things like GLD, silver, those types of names. We would see lower prices. However, if this is bullish, if the dollar is bullish, GLD is bullish, it really brings up the question is the market going to also be bullish, which would really be an overall bullish sign. However, usually you don't see UUP rallying. Usually the market will begin to sell off or even correct, go trade sideways. We'll see what the futures do tonight. And again, stay tuned for our Sundays at 5 p.m. because we're going to go into the futures and start looking at the actual market and answer some questions there. So that's what I see with the dollar. I'm looking for a continuation move. And then again, I wouldn't expect a continuation move to continue on higher. I would expect it to roll over. I'm looking for a dead cat bounce in this scenario. Let's move on to the next one. This next few are going to be members. Members posted these, and I picked out a few of them to look at just to give a little brief analysis on. MGM, I do like the resorts, and then keep in mind the resorts should catch up with the transports and the banks. If I go to the transports here, whoopsie, if I go to the transports here and I click on it, and I'm not saying MGM trades with the transports, it's not even close to being in the same sector. However, what we do notice is the banks, the casinos, the resorts, the airlines, they all kind of trade together on those big green days. There was a little bit of a divergence on Friday as far as the transports were rallying, but we didn't see that same situation going on with the resorts, casinos, those sorts of things. However, I do like this chart. We had a lot of volume come in on, let's see, this was Friday. We had a lot of volume come in. So if you are long in MGM, you could have a stop possibly at Friday's low, depending on when you enter the trade. But honestly, I would honestly keep it down in this price area down here. And if I looked at the actual ticker, or if I looked at the actual print, the low of this candle is 14.76. So maybe a stop loss at 14.62, somewhere in that range. It really depends on what your risk tolerance is, if you can really handle that. For me personally, I'd want to see price come back a little bit more to support. But if you are in this trade, there's no reason why you can't continue staying in the trade. Maybe raise your stop loss up a little bit. I do like it. Let me zoom back out here. If I go to the weekly chart, sometimes when things aren't as convincing, I go to the weekly chart, and here I see a little bit better of a case of possible trend, but also a lot of support down here. It would be nice to see continuation. Maybe you could draw somewhat of a flag kind of, falling wedge. Keep in mind overall though, this does look like now that I draw it on the chart, it could look like also a bear flag kind of pattern in development. So just kind of keep an eye on that one. The next one we're going to go to is VAR. I actually looked at VAR the other day. I do like it. Extremely bullish week. I'm going to go to the daily chart. If I was in this trade, I would definitely stay in the trade. But as far as taking a new position, I would want to see price. Is there resistance at this level? We are at resistance. But if we find ourselves in this gap, the gap being back here on 224, 221 to 224, there was a weekend. Where did we close today? On Friday we closed at 142.72, and the price up here, the high over here is 140. So we are coming into some resistance. Let's look at this close again. Close 142.72. The high of this candle over here is 140.60. So we are actually in the gap. We are in resistance. There's going to be a little bit more resistance coming in at 143.44. So keep that in mind. We are coming up into some resistance. It doesn't mean I would necessarily sell it. It could be a good short opportunity. But at the same time, with this kind of momentum, with this on volume, I would be really hesitant on shorting that or stepping in front of that. I'd want to see what it would do on the daily chart first. So keep an eye on that one. Again, if you're in the trade, maybe just raise your stop loss to Friday's lows, 136.12. So maybe just keep raising up your stop loss, and I would see how far you could take that trade. Love the chart though. I'm gonna go into let's go into SPCE. Again, another members pick, SPCE. I do like this price action. I do like trading SPCE, but this looks like just consolidation on lower volume. It does look like we could see a continuation out of here. But again, I would want to see confirmation of that. And if I zoom in here, let's go to it's easier to take these trades sometimes on a daily chart, but looking at the hourly, we do see that it fell to support. It did kind of, on a 1 hour chart, it does look like a little bit more of a bearish pattern. However, we are at support. In fact, if I was going to take a long trade, this would be optimal, to take a trade right here. That would be worth, as far as the risk to reward. We have a potential up here of 25.05, or around $25, let's say. And then again, we have some possibly up here at 27.68. I don't necessarily follow the news on SPCE. I did see a glimpse of a landing coming from astronauts coming in, and there was a landing. I don't know if that has anything to do with Virgin Galactic Possibly it does. I can't remember what the headlines were. So we're going to go to the next one, Tesla, which, by the way, Tesla and you know, sometimes these names kind of go together here, and that's, again, why I wanted to pick up Tesla. And take a look at this chart. If I look at the daily chart, it looks like we found resistance up here. It was a very good short up here, especially a double top kind of a short. We did take that trade. We also went long down here. I didn't take the actual breakout itself, but there were some long trades that were back in this area down here. So if I go look at it does kind of look like a bearish pattern as far as in the context of this price area right here. I see almost like a bullish or a bearish flag kind of developing. We did close at the lows of the day on heavier, well, not heavier than normal, but heavier as compared to like these days back here. You know, maybe that's a little bit of profit taking. It does look like a range. Maybe we are going to begin some sort of range in Tesla. I would like to see a little bit of time pass before I took a long trade, unless we broke out of 1690, which I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but you never know. I mean, you know what? This market, we don't know. Like, it could happen on Monday. I won't say that, but I would like to see a little bit of consolidation before I took a long trade, unless it was at a pretty good support level down here. If I zoom into the hourly chart, let's go back to the hour chart. Again, it looks like a little bit of a bearish close. We had some bearish action in here, a little bit of selling at the open of the day. And then we saw kind of a, you know, this is a bearish pattern in the context of this area right here. What would be really nice is, now that I'm looking at the hour chart, it would be nice to see this moving average coming up here, which is the 200 period moving average. This would be a prime target for that. However, we would be getting close to this support over here, possible support. So I'd like to see a bounce up from this price level. You know, maybe if you're going to go long here, put a stop just under that price level, which is, I'll give you the low of that candle, 1366.54, and that around that price area. But again, looking at the daily chart, that really puts it in context. And if you really want to think about it, you know, here's the weekly chart. You know, we could actually come all the way back down to $1,000, which would be an amazing opportunity to go long. I don't think we'll get there anytime soon. I think a lot of buyers will show up well before $1,000. I just wanted to give you a perspective on the weekly chart. Let's go to the next one. COF. I do like COF. You know, the concerning thing for the financials, and this ties in with the Dow Jones transports, and like I was saying, the casinos, the resorts, the airlines. This ties into that a little bit. We see a lot of weakness in the financials. You know, however, we did find some support down here, and it is a higher low kind of support. However, this bigger pattern here is a little bit concerning, because this is technically a bearish pattern on the weekly chart. Let's go to the daily. So just looking at the daily chart, zooming in here, you know, it does look like we could come all the way back to support at $60.22, that price area. However, if this was a bullish day, and let's say the markets all started to rally, which we are kind of waiting for the financials to rally, but let's just say this was a bottom over here. The only thing is, I'm not too convinced on it based on the volume. It looks like we had a little bit more selling than we did buying. Maybe it was the end of the day rally kind of thing, pushing price back up into the moving averages. But we do have moving averages on all three kind of heading down here. And honestly, I wouldn't put a lot of weight into the moving averages. The more price chops, you know, in between the moving averages like this, the less likely the moving averages will be resistance. Possibly this 200-day moving average will be resistance. But if you're in this trade, maybe use Friday's low as the stop loss, or just underneath Friday's low. But keep in mind, price could come all the way back to $60. I do expect buyers to show up there if they do push it down to $60. But as far as resistant levels go, you know, we're coming into a little bit of resistance. We may well gap over that depending on what the market does. And if we do, I would be eyeing this $75 price area. The next one I'm looking at is BA, which we talked a little bit about the transports. BA is not in the transports, but a lot of the airlines are. My initial price target, since we broke down out of this, little, you know, wedgish kind of a pattern. I don't want to call it a bullish or a bearish, but let's just say we broke down out of it. So looking at the price target right now, I had a measured move of, this was roughly $29, which is 14%. So I had a measured move coming out of here, you know, roughly $155, possibly all the way down to $150. I still think lower prices are on the docket for Boeing. You know, maybe we'll see a rally on Monday, or a little relief rally, since we've been selling off. Maybe it'll bounce up a little bit here, but I would expect that a bounce, coming into a bounce. I would also expect you know, I would expect people to short the bounce, or sellers to step in and sell the bounce. I do expect lower prices in Boeing, but it is always possible that this was a low and that we continue higher. You know, I'm not in this trade. I am looking to buy Boeing if it can come get down to this 150, 155 price area, depending on price action. I'm looking to be a buyer. The next one we'll look at is GILD. So GILD, again, all the last, these, you know, all these are members picks, and I do like them. I wish I had more opportunity and time to go through all of them. Maybe we'll take a look at Nvidia. So Nvidia, or as far as GILD goes, this could be a reversal candle. It is on volume, and again, maybe it's one of those scenarios where at the end of the day, buyers showed up and they pushed the price higher. We'll take a look in a second, but we are technically, you know, close to support. The only thing is just looking at this chart right here. If I did one of these and I drew a line here, and you know, we could kind of pick a number of lines. This was really choppy in this price area right here. We did break out of it. We are selling off. RSI is getting down here. If I did the pull this up really quick. So RSI is down at 29.78. We are getting down there a little bit. I would expect buyers to show up at a certain price. But as far as this chart goes by itself, to me, I don't like trading these kinds of charts that are like pretty whippy and all over the place. I believe Gilead has a lot of there's so much news around this company that you kind of expect these sorts of things. If I zoom out here, now it tells the whole story as far as this is the weekly chart. So see, every time price gets up here, you know, there's a lot of choppiness, and then we just kind of sell off. Price comes back up, it chops around, it sells off. I kind of expect the same thing. Price ran all the way up, and now it's kind of, you know, people are taking profit. On the weekly chart, we are below all three of the moving averages. That's something to be a little bit concerned about. But looking at the daily chart, you know, is this a relief day? Do we see relief right here? Is this a bottom? I mean, I don't know. I don't see any clear signal of any kind of bottoms in this area, or any kind of support and resistance other than this trend period where, you know, we just kind of went up higher. You know, so we could see ourselves coming into the low of this candle as support, which is 64.41. I don't know what the news is behind the sell-off. I don't know what that news is about. Maybe some sort of thing where the government awarded another company. You know, I guess we could just go look at the news here. Full year. So 7/31 had a lot of news. Quarterly loss, that was on 7/30. What's the date on that? 7/31. After earnings and revenue miss. So that's a potential thing. The other thing is FDA looks like the Daily Biotech Pulse, 2.1 billion funding for coronavirus. So that's the thing is, you know, who knows what can happen. It looks like a lot of what this company does it looks like a lot of it is surrounded or dependent on news and news driven and news hyped kind of scenarios. But also we've been running up for quite a while here, so it's probably a little bit normal to you know, for people to step in and take a little bit of profit. So looking at the hourly chart here, this is definitely bearish, not bullish in my viewpoint, right? Like we could see a little bit of chopping around here, and we could see another move to the downside. If I was in this name, I would definitely be using this low of 68.52 as the stop loss. That would be my, you know, maybe put the stop loss just underneath that. You really want to see it bounce from here. You know, you don't want to see it just chop down here. If it continues chopping around in this price area, I would expect it to continue selling off. Now, if we see it start to begin, you know, higher highs and higher lows, there's a little bit more hope. So I hope that answers you guys' questions. Again, if you got something out of this video, that's great. That's the whole goal and idea here. Go ahead and hit the like button. If you aren't a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be doing these videos more of them. And then be sure to tune in Sundays, 5 p.m. And as far as the Discord goes, I'm going to post a link in the description of the video. Feel free to check out the Discord. Pretty soon it will be a premium, I believe, that starts in the next couple days. possibly this week. So feel free to tune in today, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.